Thank you for joining me on my concr3te podcast. This is exciting for me because I'm a fan of yours, and that
Oh, appreciate that, man.
Even though I'm a DJ, I'm always a fan first because I get my influences from you guys, from everybody everywhere. And I actually got a little excited when the whole Twitch situation started. You know what I mean? Because I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
now I
man,
can
I
see
definitely feel you on that.
my favorite DJs work that
Exactly.
that influence me instead of just chasing after everybody on Instagram. I like that personal interaction that Twitch has. Um, because of the pandemic and everything, how did it affect you as far as your bookings and your working situation, and that made you go into this transition of Twitch?
Bro, I it really was just like I mean, from the 1 minute to the next, literally I remember I mean what I do also aside from a DJing is I also like help a run and book at a club slash like bar. So it was on St. Patrick's Day and Orange County was just like they were still kind of open and then he hit me up and he was like everybody shut down. So literally on St. Patrick's Day of last year, it was literally like a flip upside down. Like and nobody knew what to do, nobody knew where to kind of go, and we were all just at a loss. So the gigs definitely like everything erased. Like I mean, I had like pretty much like 2 months. I usually book at least a month and a half out. Everything's done, canceled, and then prior to even Twitch, I was already going to IG Live, and I used to do this thing called Monday Night Live
Mm,
and I even ran into problems then though, because like I would,
with
get
Instagram.
interrupted, yeah, with audio problems and things like that. So, you know, finding out like a lot of people were going over to Twitch, first of all, like it was just a totally different lingo. Like, I mean, learning Twitch was a big, big difference. And it was like it could be discouraging if you don't know what you're doing or if you're not tech savvy,
Yes,
like
yes,
I spent hours and hours and hours on YouTube just trying to troubleshoot, figure out everything. But, you know, like it was really crazy. I mean, just kind of back to it. Dude, I think a lot of DJs, because DJing took at least like I'm gonna say like 80% of my, income. Like other stuff, what I also do is like do graphic designs and I do a lot of after effects and things like that. And honestly, that in itself opened up a whole new avenue to
mm,
people
mm,
who are like, who's doing your graphics? Who's like making these stingers? Who's doing your logos? And I'm like, I kind of like, fell into doing that and that helped. But going back, like it's been really like a roller coaster and a ride, but I think it's here to stay, man. I really like how you were saying, like, you know, being influenced by big DJs like, Craze or A Track or, these huge ones are always, it's the top tier, but I'm not gonna front like, yourself, as long as like, other homies of mine, I'm just like, it's so dope to see you be you now. Like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
so used to the club, and it's like we know what bangs, we know Cardi B is gonna pop it off. We could throw it back and always play Fat Man Scoop, and get the crowd going again. But then being unique to yourself, like and that's what I encourage a lot of my friends that were like, I don't know what to play. Like I feel like blah blah blah, and I'm like, think of yourself like as free now. Like
Mm, mm,
the
yeah.
way the way I approach this is like this is that last opportunity for me to like succeed or fail, but it's on my terms now. So like if I'm gonna like, just totally drop and no viewers and nothing like that because I want to play the music that I want to hear, then so be it. Like as opposed to like I'm just gonna play nothing but bangers, like Bad Bunny and whatever to get people going. But it's like I don't want to hear that all the time. So like I mean, yeah, bro. I know I kind of said a mouthful and kind of went everywhere, but for the gist of it, that's what it is, man.
So well, I got introduced to DJing live was through Instagram also,
Hmm.
and I was like, yo, this is why didn't I think of that? You know what I mean? That's one of those situations. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't I could have been started this? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Especially DJs that aren't getting booked frequently. You know,
Right.
so I was like, why can't you just pick it up? Because everybody's so caught up with it. Yo, let me get in this spot. Let me get in this spot.
Hmm.
They're not thinking. And I was like, yo, that now the game is has evolved into a situation where you got to think above and beyond
And
what
that's
it
a
is.
huge thing. That's
Yeah, and
massive, bro.
and then when I got introduced to Twitch, you're the first person I saw on Twitch.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? I barely use my PlayStation, so I was like, let me check out what Twitch, what's this Twitch thing going?
Yeah.
And I saw you there. I was like, suggested, because then the, the whole Twitch thing changed where it was like DJs were up on the front page.
Hmm.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
okay, okay. I said, I feel what is going, and I saw you, and I saw your the way you were setting things up, and your playlist. I was like,
Hmm.
this is fantastic. You know, I'm gonna just
Yeah.
walk around my house drinking my beer, smoking my blunts, and just
Yeah,
enjoying
exactly,
my
dude.
days, right? Especially during the pandemic. You
Hmm.
know, and I wonder, I was like, yo, you're right. It is discouraging because it is a lot of hard work. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
tried to do it, and the only reason I haven't done it yet was like if I can't put the time in
Hmm.
all the way
Yeah.
through and be
But I mean,
consistent, you know what I mean?
I, th- and that's the key word though. And I told a lot of people that I'm like, everybody, like, and I still have bigger homies that, I'm like, what are you waiting for? Like, and they're like, I'm trying to get my right gear. I'm trying to get my lighting. I'm trying to have my graphics. I'm trying to have the screen and all these things going on. And it's like, yeah, but like the biggest thing is that everybody has to start small. And that's the beautiful thing about this is
Yeah,
that
just hop in. That's what everybody
the
tells me. Just hop in. Just hop
yo
in.
the like from right now, like, and especially you can, it's the same, and I think even better now because you'll have homies like me that asking when you're on and to shoot you those followers in that raid. But I think when everybody starts, it's like no matter how big the raid or whatever, you're gonna have to humble yourself. You're not gonna have emotes, you're not gonna have the viewers like
It's
consistently
a
unless it's
build up.
from a raid. Like, you want to create your own lane doing your own thing. So I told everybody, like, you can't worry about that. You really have to drop your ego because it's so discouraging,
That's the key
DJing.
word.
And
That's the key word, ego.
yeah, I do. And it's a hard pill to swallow, and especially the more established that you are. And I mean, the establishment is going to help you because people will know your name and want to tune in. But at like our level, it's like it's a beautiful thing because it's like you have to regrind, and you're really going to see if you still love this anymore. Like for me, I've been doing this for like 12 years, and that's straight, like, straight in the club too. So it's like I was so used to this, and then having to build my followers from zero again, and it's a challenge. But
Yeah, it could be
you
discouraging and make you think twice
yeah,
about it, right?
dude. But at the end of the day, like, you'll think, do I love this? And if I do love this, I'm gonna keep doing it. And like, it's great to have all these things. Like, I've consistently built more and more and more. So like, I mean, through my channel, like now I'm able to, because I have a big enough spot now, to actually have, my mornings set in different tones. So sometimes it'll be like a very room setting because I still love that vibe. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna front. Like when I see like, Deluxe or homies still doing it like from a room setting, it has a different feel. And to me, it's more of
More
that, like,
personal.
yeah, exactly, very much so. And you feel that like relatability with them. Then when you switch over to the green screen, I feel like that's more of a turn up.
That's
Like
what I
you're
was saying.
more
Like, oh shit, Concrete got that green screen popping off. I saw
yeah,
that
man.
shit.
So,
Like, you're gonna give me epilepsy, bro.
dude, I'm saying, see, some of them are like, like and it's so funny that you said that. Like, I get people that were like, dude, your thing, like, your green screen is so clear. It's just like so much. And I'm
I
just
got a
like, I'm
big TV in
sorry.
my living room. I was like, whoa, gotta put my shades on and shit.
Yeah, man. But like I said, it's your evolution. It's your, like, you evolving. And that's what I wanted to bring the difference where it's like, Monday, Wednesday, I usually keep it because I don't do every day now. I really wanted to start going back to like how I really thought out my sets and how
Mhm.
I just intricated like different things. So yes, the majority will understand, but DJs more so will appreciate because it's just like he put that time in and he created that routine, and it's a flex. Like I'm not gonna front, and that's what we want to do. But it's not to discourage other DJs. It's more to like level up. I've always been that type of dude that's like challenge me. I want to be better. I want to be like, interested in what you're doing, and I can hear wordplay, tone play, or just little like, ad
Yeah,
libs that
yeah.
you're doing. And, now that I have, built somewhat of a, a good following and consistency, now I'm like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, still the mornings. And then, we'll see how it carries for as late as I go. But yeah, man, like I think Twitch has literally like opened up and leveled out the playing field for so much. And it's just like, it's still barely just hitting.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because Twitch has its own community. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm,
if you're not on there consistently, it's very hard,
mm-hmm.
even as a viewer. You know what I mean? And I kind of
Yeah.
understand it because I could tell you maybe 10 years ago, I was
Mm-hmm,
streaming live from Ustream.
mm-hmm. Oh
You know,
yeah, it worked.
shitty webcams. You
Yeah.
know, me and my friends had this whole radio station set up. It was called Latin Lounge Radio, and every day
Mm-hmm,
there was a scheduled DJ going, and we had a whole setup.
mm-hmm.
And I had my setup too. Every week I was on some consistent. I was like, yo, this is just like how I used to do with Ustream. You know what I mean? The
Right.
difference is back then I was hungry. I was like, yo, I'm not getting the bookings back then, but
Yeah.
I'll shoot it to Facebook, and I felt like I was ahead of the game at that time doing that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And the chats and everything. Put a number one if you like this song. You know what I mean? That kind of
Yeah.
language, and
Mm-hmm.
and they still do it now sometimes. And I was and now I say, damn, but I see concrete and concrete got the green screen coming, the little hot dog man walking across the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Beat Breaker he's on his own little thing. You just I think at the time he had a setup also or more personal in a room or
Yeah, in
something.
the room. Mm-hmm.
And you said Deluxe also crazed all of them, and I just felt that just brings them down that pedestal that they're put in just because they are who they are,
Yeah.
and it just
Yeah.
makes them like, yo, they're human, and now they could play whatever they want. And I kind of like that, you know what I mean? I like that because I don't want to hear Cardi B all the time, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear,
Bro,
you
exactly.
know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
I listen to Mixcloud for that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like,
Yeah.
so now that you're in Twitch and you broke that ice, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that meaning the ice of, oh damn, nobody's watching me right now, because that's the hardest thing. I can't get the
Mm-hmm.
viewers to watch me, but the key is to stay on
Right.
and not. And on top of that, when you're on, you be like, all right, what do I play? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Then you
So,
got that anxiety. You're
yeah.
like, they're like, fuck this shit. I'm turning this shit off. Let me set up my playlist. Oh shit, but my crates ain't organized. Now you gotta spend a month organizing your crates.
Exactly, dude. So like like when it comes to that, like I now I'm able to like create more of a set and a play, like I was saying, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But like when I started, like it was like how kind of everybody was, and especially if you come from a club, it's like this is what we know. But to me, like I've always had a broader like taste of music. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
never been genre specific, or I'm only hip hop, or I'm only trap, or whatever. Like I've always loved just and that goes to like going to different parties as well. Like they're like in LA, like there's a do over, there's
Yeah, the duo over is
143.
fantastic. I wish that's the duo over is the reason why I wanted to live in California. You know,
Yeah, man. And
because they bring it here
because
sometimes, and it
yeah,
doesn't look the same, and it doesn't feel the same. You know what I
yo,
mean?
when you come, like, and that party's still like cracking again. Because I know, like, once this whole blows over, and it may take like, another year to
Yeah,
it actually
definitely.
come back, but I know it will. But like, those are the parties where it's just like nobody cares if you're popping bottles. Nobody cares who you really are. Like, you can have your section, yeah, have your fun, but everybody's there for music
Music,
and
yeah.
just to vibe. Like that's it. And you really feel like that party vibe, because that's what one thing, the biggest drawback is, because luckily I've been able to travel like DJing, went to Philly, Chicago, Orlando, Hawaii, so I get to see different vibes and different people. LA has this fucking cool, man. Like they have this
Yeah, I
like
do. Y'all
LA
got
cool
it.
is a thing, and it's a double-edged sword, because you look at it and you have this like Cali swag, but then like you act too cool, and it's like, oh no, I'm not even gonna vibe to my favorite song. I'm just gonna stand back here and kind of like nod and just drink my drink, and I'm like, that's whack. Like when I hear tracks and especially new bangers, like I get pumped, and I just want to vibe with it. And Do Over is one of those places that you can definitely have. So rewinding like kind of back full circle to how you're talking about crates and stuff like that. Like I knew when I started, I'm a big remix head, but I'm very
Selective.
particular on what I want to play. Yeah, like I mean, it's funny. Like a lot of people hit me up and they're like, "Yo, where do you get your tracks? Where are you getting this? Where are you getting that?" And I'm like, first of all, I go to SoundCloud, and I'm like, I kind of dig down this rabbit hole. And I never personally did.
You're the
And I
reason
remember
why I
my
got on SoundCloud, back on SoundCloud to dig, because I was like, there's got to be somewhere where these remixes, like Santos remixes and his
bro,
tropical
yeah.
style, I
Oh,
always
dude, love
wondered
it.
about those. I was like, yo, that's crazy the way those
Yeah.
sound.
And Paul Mood, and there's a lot of great artists out there that aren't really tapped in that whole ballet funk vibe. Like I'm all
Mm.
about it. But so you go into that, and then you just keep, like I said, you just keep digging and digging and digging.
And
And
you'll
like
find
it
it.
reminds me, and I relate it to like, the OG heads who crate digged, who went to record stores and literally would have to go through like, whatever, so many records to find that one. And that's usually what it is. Like I don't just pick up like, oh, there's a remix by her now and a remix by whoever else that I find, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play it.
So you
No, like
just
I
put the
listen
time
to
in.
it. Yeah, I skim through it, hear their breaks, hear their selections, hear how I like how it goes. But I tell a lot of people, like, the thing that's hard about that is that, number one, like sometimes the quality is crap, so I have to doctor it up in Ableton. Or like, I mean, luckily, hopefully, like, Bandcamp has it, but usually a lot of these artists don't quantize. So it's like a live, like, triggers and how
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing it. And I
I've
love that.
noticed
But
that.
when it comes to us DJing, your mixes could go off like that. It's
That
like
and it makes you
mixing
look crazy.
bands. Exactly. So I tell people, like, all the time, because a lot of people are like, oh, he messed up. And especially those DJs who I used to be, critique, and are like looking for your slip ups. And especially like if you're in a limelight, they want you to kind of like slip up. But to me, I'm just like, how fast can you catch it? Number one. And number two, how good is that song? And like, I'm not worried about anything else. Like I always tell people that, like, if it's a technical DJ or a DJ who has song selection, I'll have a DJ who's like has that song selection way over, just because of the fact that, like, I'm a music head. I love like turntablism. I spend, still hours, learning my
Yeah, yeah.
juggles, learning my double chases, all of that. But at the end of the day, like, I want to hear just good music. So
Mm. That
being that
sometimes is
selector,
forgotten because
and
of the technical aspect. Now, everybody wants to talk,
yeah, bro.
everybody wants to wordplay, everything's got to be snappy. You know what I mean? And this, it's sad. It's not sad, but you become more critical now, a little bit,
Yeah,
as you're watching people and what they're doing, because you hear things and you be like, all right, but then you watch them, be like, well, it is it all programmable? Like the mixes, they
right.
program them. Now they live
Mhm.
and they don't sound as appealing to me, right?
But there are some great DJs who
DJs,
do
yes.
program. Like, I mean, like Miles Medina. He probably is my favorite now, man. Like honestly,
So
Miles is a beast.
yes, he
And
is.
when I
And
see
I seen
him,
him live at the Goldies a couple years ago
oh man,
in New York
oof.
when he
Just
won it.
watching that, like
When he
every
won it,
highlight that was on, yeah, dude, like
it was
he was a murderous. Because I've seen him a couple of times, and I've got to like spin with him. Like there was a spot called in LA or Chinatown. It's called Treehouse, and like we're on the same. But I've heard of him, and then I heard him, and I'm like, yo, you're sick, like really, really dope.
I think
And
he has one of the best Twitch along
yeah,
with
and
yours.
I appreciate that. But like, do you see the simplicity of his too?
The
It's
plants.
just a GoPro. Yeah, it's just a GoPro and a few little triggers that he does. It's nothing crazy because it's about his music. He's not even a really active person on the mic. And that's what I tell people, like, just create what you want. If you want to be a music head and just kind of, be on the mic, look at how Miles is doing. Just put in that time. But there are people who are very animated and very like they have this crazy, brain, like Four Color Zach, where you watch his
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
they're like TV shows. He has his segments. He
Spider
has,
too. Spider
involved.
got some things going on that be like, Where he getting these
Exactly.
gifts? You know what I mean?
Exactly. No,
Like I
bro,
said, it's
exactly.
influential. It's influential to me. I'm like,
And
these gifts are
and to
funny.
me, that's so like inspiring as a DJ and just as a creator. Like that's one thing is like content and doing all this, but not limiting yourself now. Like we always were in a box because we're just one dimensional and it's you hearing us. Now we get to put in things that are like what makes you you. I mean, you can see behind me, I'm a fucking like animated, like, Marvel geek. Like that's who I am. So, in my room, you could see and hear like all that. And, it's like welcoming you into my room and hearing me like vibe. So doing all that, like I think really set, just DJs apart from everything. Like when it came to your appeal and who you want to be as a, definition when, like that's one thing. I'll still just go on the discovery and see who pops out to me. I'm like, what if it's this green screen or if it's a room or it's the lighting or whatever, and pretty much just tap in from there.
I tell people all the time, and I had discussions with other DJs here, especially here in New York, because over here everything is
Mhm.
fast paced, fast moving,
Yeah,
especially mixing itself. They don't. There's definitely a
yeah, man.
difference between New York and the West Coast. You know, with
Yeah.
you guys take your time, more of your time with your mixes,
Hmm.
and over here is like the cutting. The cutting is like masterful here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to Camilo. He's the king of that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's what he does. And so I get a lot of my influences from the West Coast because I want to be a better DJ. As far as
Right.
the playlist playlisting, how you guys do it. Even before
Hmm.
the COVID, I used to listen to the live uh, recordings that they used to put up on Mixcloud, especially Miles Medina when he's at different spots and he has his
Yeah.
that's recorded. You know what I mean? But I tell people all the time, like, yo, you have to listen to these guys. Forget the 8 bar intros. Forget about how they're West Coast is known for that 8 bar intros. They sit on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll be like, yo, but y'all forget that they have dope music
Yeah.
that you don't hear. And I play and I get that influence from you guys sometimes, and I play it at spots that way. And
Right.
and they be like, you're you're I get mostly get corporate situations come playing like
Hmm.
that. Because they're
Right.
like, all right, you're not playing the typical stuff. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But I tell people all the time, yo, listen to Concrete, listen to Jay Espinoza, listen to Spider. You know what I mean? Listen to all these
Yeah.
guys because they're killing it. But we
Oh, I
slowly on
appreciate
this
that,
side,
bro.
but we slowly on this side are making are making our own
Hmm.
style due to Twitch. You got Beat Breaker, you got the
Right.
4 a.m. DJs, they do their own thing. And
Hmm.
but damn it, I'll be like, yo, I need to get up on my crates. I was like, let me fix these. You know what I mean? Let me move everything around.
Yeah.
Let me just because eventually I am gonna go. I am gonna put some time into it because I just like doing it. I love to DJ. I tell people all the time.
Man,
I'm not
and when
making
you
no
need
money
that
on
help,
hiring.
dude, like I mean, not right now, and that was another thing too. And like we get lost in numbers because I mean, and that's in everything from Instagram likes to viewers to how many people are downloading or streaming, and we get so lost in that, and we forget like, yo, like it's fun. This is what it was meant to be. Like I know, like I'm not gonna be in the club forever, but I'll forever be a DJ. Like I'll forever be spinning music, and it won't leave. Like that's something where it's like timeless. Like it doesn't matter like how old you are, you're gonna vibe to Off the Wall. Like I don't care if you've heard it for the very first time and you're only 3 years old or you're 80, you're gonna vibe to it. So going back to that whole doing this for me and having it timeless is I think an essential part because people can read authenticity straight off the bat. You could be a great like radio commercial voice and have that, but is it authentic, or is it because you were trained like that? And I'm not taking anything away because some
Mm,
people are great at that, but if it starts feeling like a job, you know why are you forcing yourself to do it? Like I
mhm.
mean, mhm. So I think like a lot of that, your mindset of how you're going into that. But like I wanted to go back and touch on like how you were talking about like West Coast from East Coast DJs because like a few of my friends like have definitely like, spun out there, and they were telling me they struggle because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the what do you call it? It's not so much of a mix. It's just a cut. It's just a straight boom. Like I'm going to the next like
You gotta
track.
master the one. It's about the one,
Exactly.
bro.
And it's either on the snare and it's either on the beat. And so like, and you have, and sometimes it's like you won't even get to the chorus. You'll just want to hear that like fragment of like that great song,
Yeah.
and then, cut to the next, and then get the crowd going, and then cut to the next and cut to the next. And I was hearing it, I was like, you slammed about like 7 tracks
It's
in
like
less than
1,000
three
tracks in one
minutes.
night. Because they
Yeah.
open from like 10 to 4. And you got like
And
10
it,
DJs. You
yeah.
got
And it, yeah. And it's really like crazy that, I mean, because we're just not used to it. Like how you guys are like, this is taking forever. Like, like isn't the crowd bored with this? Where we're just more so like, just
chilling.
okay, yeah, like we're vibing. And
There's a
sometimes like,
demand in the club. Because in the
mhm,
clubs here, in the clubs here, in the clubs here, like I said, it's fast life, like I said, and the
mhm,
crowd controls
mhm,
everything. Bookings, everything. There was a point that that they just hire you and the promoter will be like, yo, play prime
mhm,
time shit right now. Play prime time shit.
yeah,
Forget who's on behind you. Your opening doesn't matter. Play it. And then you just
yeah,
select records. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it was a little, it made me a little anxious starting off when I was started doing the club thing. Cause I was like,
mhm,
okay, I know what I'm doing.
yeah,
Obviously, you know what I
yeah,
mean? But now I gotta get used to the way they want me to move. You know what I mean? So I opened up for Camilo. I opened up for different people, and I learned
mhm,
from them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I come from that old school club days in New York where the opener respected
exactly.
the main DJ.
The main DJ didn't want to take that prime, or
You
that
build up that
main
way.
song that everybody's, but yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you build up
And that's
that
what
way.
I
We
tell.
build up that way. Oh wow! So right here in New York, they're not really on Twitch like that. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Just certain people are on, but the DJs in the circle in community that I'm in, they
mhm,
still, they get on IG sometimes smoking the hookah, nobody on,
mhm,
and I look at him like, damn, you're popping in the clubs. Yeah,
yeah,
here they got in underground clubs now, like basement parties and shit.
yeah, that's crazy. They have a few over here, but like as soon as they catch his wind, like it's just,
Oh, they're on the news all the
it's a
time.
wrap.
DJs
Yeah.
are getting arrested. They're not
Hmm.
even playing. They're arresting DJs. But
Wow, man, that's crazy.
yeah, and for a couple $100, it's not like it's.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing. Like it's all right, cool, as
I'm
long
not
as it's
shitting
not
on
like
nobody. To each his own. But
everybody has their grind, and like a lot of people and DJs and homies of mine that are still actually like the forefront of like, I mean, they're doing clubs like right now, or basically it's like it's so funny if you go to like the clubs right now. It's like I've never seen such a controlled environment. Like
mm,
it's like adults sitting in a table. You can't really stand up or while out. It's almost like being at a restaurant with like that. And it's like I'm so used to like everybody getting ratchet and crazy and just like acting a fool. And now it's like everybody's so controlled. And if you're drunk, you're like swaying in your seat. I'm like, wow. Like I mean, but those dudes who tried. It's funny because like they all came to me asking me. They were like, how did you do? How did you build it? And to me, I'm like, I had friends and raids, but at the end, like you have to be committed. I'm like, I went through that struggle of 7 viewers, and I'll still bounce down. But the thing is that like I'm like, you have to get back in your head and just be like, yo, I'm here to play music and have fun. Like, I'm just trying to do me and get this out. Cause with this whole pandemic that just had like, yo, dude, a lot of people that I was talking to, like a lot of DJs that this was their income totally. Like,
some people quit.
so like not only that, just really depressed, like just like their life just going down, down, down. And like I saw a couple like homies and I'm like, dude, what happened, bro? Like I mean, because you could tell like they just gained a
Yeah,
whole bunch of weight, and it's just like
that's
they
called
didn't know
DJ
what to do.
PTSD, bro. Because every
Yeah, dude.
day there was every what let's say an active DJ is working Thursday to probably Sunday, right?
Hmm.
That's a
Right.
typical active DJ working, right?
Hmm.
So all those days you drinking, you partying, you getting no sleep, you know what I mean, and you consistently doing that, and then all of a sudden it finally stops,
Right.
and you're
Hmm.
like, of course you're gonna get
And
depressed.
it's like, I mean, no, like, I mean, to an extreme, but it's like a drug where you just cut cold turkey and your like body doesn't know what to do. It's just, you start losing it because you're so used to that lifestyle. On top of that, I think a big thing is like, with money issues where you're just like, this was the prime. So like, and like kind of talking the same thing, like me and because Beat Breaker, spent like a few days with me over here. And me and him would just chop it up and just definitely, and he's just like, man, if it wasn't for Twitch, like, who knows? Like, because he was just same thing in a really like dark place. And it was funny because I think a big thing too that Twitch gave to us is exposing a lot of DJs that we never knew. Like, I met so many like good homies now and DJs that I'm like, I would never ever know of you because some of them are little, like or like littler, like in Arizona. So there's this dude named hi, it's Danny. He plays some of the funkiest tracks, and
Hmm.
I'm like, yo, you are just like on this way wavy level. And then there's people from over here like that are just, same thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like that was really, unique to this. And then that's what Bree Baker was telling me, as well. Cause I've met him a couple of times because like a lot of the homies, are like deluxe, they have headliners and stuff like that. So, we kind of had mutual friends, but then when he really would tune in, he's just like, you got this different style. Like he was like, he honestly, Beat Breaker is him, but he was like, I really didn't know concr3te that well. And you started playing a lot of his music and it just kind of opened and exposed this whole avenue of
K-Train
music. And
out
it's
of the
like,
god.
bro, that dude, like, I
He's
mean, for
fantastic.
forever, like he's been doing this for way more than a
I used to
minute.
listen to K-Tronada just to listen to him. I didn't even play him. He was in
Yeah,
like in
exactly.
my
He was that
music just to
dude.
listen. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That first, I remember, and it was the first. Well, he did two tracks that caught me, and it was first was "Lady," and then the other one was that "If" by Janet. And that
Mm-mm-mm.
"If" just like it's so funny because I'm like that was like the pandemic's anthem, and I'm like that track is like 8 years old. Like it has its time, but I'm like it just really shows that like music was ready to be pumped out now, and new ears were listening and ready to hear something different. And the more you can bridge the gap between things that and things that you haven't heard and weave back, because that's how I usually try to set everything up, and especially when I DJ, man, is just figuring out what's the medium I can give to you that you will know, that something that I have that I personally like, and then bring it back full circle and try to just take you on a ride. Like that's the way when I Twitch and do all that. I have my crates kind of set up, but I don't have set lists. And going back to like Miles, like that's the one thing is I study these DJs. Like I look like, is he typing? Is he writing these things? And no, like Miles
So
is all
good.
curated. He's like track after track after track. So and it's all like key sync. So that's why everything always sounds so smooth. That's because he knows in his head how his keys are with these songs that complement each one.
Which is important
So
now.
very much so. And it's like that's why it sounds so fluid. So you have a lot of these tools, but it's really putting in the time too, man. Like
Yeah.
you can't take that away. Like if people are like, oh, he key syncs, he's doing this, he's doing that, he took the time to like literally manage his music like that. So that's he's ahead of the game for that. And using a lot of different variables that are also like in his arsenal. Like when he starts like really, you can see when he gets focused, starts juggling and just starts feeling music, and you're just like,
Mm-mm. Yeah.
that's why you're at that level. And like it challenges
He's a
us
beast.
to
He's a beast.
yeah, to ascend
Scene,
like that, like
scene two, scene
bro.
is killing it. When he has that train coming by the screen, the first time I saw the train, I was like,
Scene is on some different level shit. Like, and I love it so much because it inspired me to have a lot more triggers and a lot more things going on now, and sequencing it, and with thinking outside of the box, and like because what do you call it? We were in Vegas and we were chopping it up with him, and he's through Twitch, like he stops by like my channel a lot, and that's what like kind of friends are like. You'll have Beat Breaker, like obviously he's a homie, but then you have Scene randomly. Like what I saw is like Scratch Bastard was like in there like one time, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like these massive like people are running through, and you
They
know,
know.
it's
They know what they
and
see what you see. And I tell people,
yeah.
you guys are not seeing what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? And especially out here where the DJs are struggling. And I tell you, if you're up and coming and you're waiting to get put on to open for somebody, you know what I mean? Don't do it.
Mhm.
Right? Don't just I'm not saying don't go to gigs. I'm saying this should be part of your DJ resume now. You know what I mean? This should
E-
be part of your EPK.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because
And
if I was a
exactly.
promoter right now, I'd be like, you know what? Let me hire Concrete because when I watch Concrete, he throws me this vibe that makes me feel
Hmm.
comfortable, and he's banging out these tracks. You know,
Yeah,
same thing with scene. Like personality now is everything, and I was like, it's gonna make you. It
it's
was like
so funny because I was never a mic person. Like I hated being on the mic in the club. I'm not comfortable on it. This made me comfortable now. So like being interactive, talking, having that communication, and that was, I think, the two things brought me to really to Twitch. Number one was the fact of the raids, how you can really put on homies to other homies, and I
mm,
think that's amazing. Like
and it
I
brings
love the
everybody
fact,
together.
exactly, like, you know, like when I first started, like, you know, good friend like Just Incredible, Fashion, E-Rock, like all of them, like, you know, were like, all right, cool, we're gonna throw you on. And I'm just like, uh okay. And it's crazy because they are all like
Fashion, I forgot
just,
about fashion.
yeah, they're like, just do you, like, don't try to mimic what we're trying to do. The reason why we're putting you on is because we like what you do. So, you know, having that, you know, reinforcement and backing of like, man, like this is just, you know, community
And
and
I tell
love.
people all the time, say, look at them. You see how they're relaxed. You see how the environment is relaxed. There's no pressure. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
Hmm.
you know, angles is everything. You know, wherever you at, but as long as you know you do what you're doing and you look like you're enjoying it, your
Hmm.
7 people will turn into 100 people, and your 100 people will turn into this, and then all of a sudden, fashion comes and raise your raise your joint,
Yeah,
and you're just exposed to another different boatload of crowds because there's people that
exactly.
Twitch that not even DJs that just look for DJs.
Hmm. Like real talk, like people, like, you know, obviously still like hit me on IG and they're like, who are you watching right now? And I'm just like, you know, and I'll tell them, like, you know, I'm like, honestly, to me, I'm like the main ones that are and obviously like every rotation is like, I'm always dropping in scenes. I love seeing, because first of all, that dude's a beast when it comes to just his how quick and how clean
Yo,
he is.
yo.
And then you start watching his stream and seeing his turntables lift, and then seeing his, like, you know, things like his trains go by, his, you know, automations of like black and like just everything. I'm like, that's next level. Like that's where I want to ascend. So, you know, it's having to learn those things, but as well as forcing yourself to be a better DJ. And like, you know, people like him definitely inspire me to, you know, keep doing that. And it's funny because, like, speaking of that, like, I remember he was on just a couple of days ago, and then because I was gonna end at 11, and he was just
Mhm.
like, oh, he's like, yo, go the distance. And I kind of caught that like in my ear. Like I was like, oh, so we want to hear like some alternative rock. We want to hear Cake. And then that's when like he put like, that's why I'm watching. And like, because he knows like I'm gonna use what you say and I'll read between the lines. And those are things that it's just like DJs speak a different language.
Mm,
Like
mm.
we know what we're talking when we're not even talking. We know what we're seeing when, you know, it's not there. So things like that, where it's like, man, I really, you know, am humbled by that. Because, you know, like I've gotten, you know, the pleasure to open for like huge DJs like Jazzy Jeff, and then like, I mean, like Drama, and, you know, like so on and so on. But it's crazy, like when you have them going to you, totally different, like from you opening to them coming to you, and it's just like it humbles you. And that's the, you know, one of the most gratifying things, where you're just like,
One of
wow.
my conversations, I said, yo, if you do this, this will give you a one up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This won't just make you look like, oh well, here here in New York, it's always, you can just gonna open, stand right here, we'll let
Hmm.
you know whatever it is,
Hmm.
it's it's a bully business when it comes to that.
Hmm.
The promoters run everything. They're the biggest thing. They should be the DJs.
Right.
Like that's how it
Right,
is.
dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I know in Vegas it's harsh too. So you know what I mean.
yeah.
But
I
I
think
feel like
mhm.
that if you work this out, whatever rate you want, you'll get it.
Yeah,
Because
because
all they
yeah, I
have to
mean,
do is watch you.
the biggest thing too is that like, for homies like who, I mean, Ediz, like, I don't know if you ever stopped in, like, the whole thing that he set up with the bend over and his following. It's kind of like, I mean, and not talking shit on my dude, because my dude is like, capitalizing on it, but he has the party turn ups every morning over here. So he starts off kind of vibey, and then he just takes you off for your day. And yeah, it's kind of like repetitive as far as like the songs that you already know. You're not going to really hear too much like, out there stuff that, like, say, I would play. But he does have his edits, and he does have his twerk style and stuff like that. But it's like he was kind of in the same lane that I was, and then his Twitch lane just became totally, a beast. So saying that, it's like, do I want to make this much money at a club, or do I want to stay home and make this much money here? And it's like, if you play your cards right, I mean, you can do both, but at
But
the
you
end of the
don't
day,
have to do the club.
yeah, but you don't have to anymore. Like, you don't have to like do that. And that's the crazy thing. It's like,
That's a harsh ass like thing to say.
like when
It's real.
when you say that to promoters, and especially from, like, I mean, and I'm categorizing us as like local hype. Like, I mean, within, a few, like, others have, like, LA, we have our promoters that we work with, we have our club owners that we work with. And like, I've, done all of kind of like, LA's big parties, or bigger places, not to toot my own horn, but just saying, I know, and I built that network, and that took a lot of time. It's putting that time in the club, spending money, like, doing that, making face. And as soon as you hit the stage, show them why you're, like, want to be put on. And then you just keep elevating from there. So, I've worked my way up the right way, but, we're not, I mean, just saying now, we're not like, say, like at the beat breaker level where he's in China, and then in Tokyo, and then in, like, Dubai, and all these things. Like, I mean, me per
But
se,
that's
I'm
the
gonna
way
say,
that he started. That's the way that he got into grinding out as a DJ that saturated itself out with the saturation of DJing. And that, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Now,
exactly. No.
like I tell people, this is gonna separate good DJs
Mhm.
to the DJs that only could play at clubs.
Yeah, and
Especially
real
here.
talk, that is, yeah,
Especially
and like,
here, because over here everybody wants to be a Camilo. Everybody
mhm,
wants to be an Alex Sensation. You know what I mean? They're the dominating DJs as far as the Latin community is concerned. You know, and
mhm,
then you got Flex, and you got, and then you got the heavy hitters, because that's what it was here. My
mhm,
goal was to be a DJ and become a heavy hitter. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
mhm.
it ain't like that no more. You know what I mean?
A lot of the game has really changed, and even, picking the brains of, like, these people who own these, companies or management things, they all know it. And no matter what, like, I really feel like, if you want to say, like, for us, it's like, I want to, like, kind of drink and have a good time, but I don't really want to go out. I'm gonna go to Twitch, and you have that option now. And I think that's really going to stay there. Like, it's like, oh, in the mornings, like, okay, yeah, everything's back to normal. Concrete's still on though. So, like,
Yeah.
no matter what, like, I'll have my morning, like, flave with him. And then, whoever's on at night, and so on and so on. So, I don't think it, like, a lot's going to change as far as if you're building an establishment. I think it's up to us, like the creators, to keep pushing that envelope, to give you a reason to just want to be in tune more. Like, I fell in love with DJing again, like, because of the pandemic. Like, I didn't dig as hard as I used to, like, 3 years ago, two
You get
years ago. I
excited to
wasn't really,
play it.
yeah, and exactly. And you can read when someone's genuinely like, yo, listen to
Enjoying
this
it.
track, and you feed off of it. So, Twitch gave us that opportunity to really push forward with it.
I tell people all the time, there's money, and there's money, and there's a lot to gain out of it as a public figure, as a DJ. You know what I mean? So if you
Yeah.
want to stay behind the booth, behind a computer screen, then go to the clubs. But if you want
Hmm.
to go to the next level and be a household name, this is the quickest way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I really feel that, not only that, but it's like being yourself. Like,
and
doing
doing
that,
it being yourself.
you can really, just take off.
It's
And
fantastic. I think it's
that's
fantastic.
something. Yeah, man. And that, like I said,
I
there's a
give
lot of,
props to you and everybody
time.
else that does well with it. And I could see
Oh, I appreciate that.
the buildups that you guys made, especially you. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, there's a lot of thinking and planning to all of this. It ain't just always just the DJing. You know what I mean? Set
Hmm.
yourself up, and then once the ball start rolling, then you got to get used to all this attention for
Yeah,
4 hours. You get me? 4 or 5
exactly. And
hours. You know what I mean?
yo, reading the chat is such a challenge, but like that's what, like, back to one of the pluses is I was like, you always wait on IG, Facebook for the comments back, and then you get to put some thought into it, time it. Yo, when the chat starts running, like, I'm not gonna front, I'm not the best reader, and especially when it comes to Twitch handles, like reading their names and how they spell it different or uniquely or using different things. I'm just like, damn it, like, it's funny because
Or
like,
trust me, because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I went and I was checking you out, and I
mhm.
put mine as Mr. Odam all together.
Dude,
Mr.
yes,
Odam. So
yeah,
when I said something, you said shout out to Mr. Odom.
yeah. See,
So I was like,
exactly
so
what I
I
was
told
like.
my girl, I was like, damn, I have to put like dashes and underscores so they could read it individually.
Exactly. So like that's something, I mean, for me, where I'm like, I just try to read it as fast as I can. But it's funny because like my girl Angel, she's like, she always will comment because like, sometimes she'll be either like downstairs with me or, like I'll hear her in the next room. She's like, "You're saying his name wrong." And I'm like, damn it. Or like whatever. And it's just, like, it's trial and error. But at the end of the day, like I always tell people, if I can't pronounce it, I was like, yo, break it down for me or let me know what to call you. But going back to like saying, having that interaction with people live, real time, is one of the dopest things, because it's so funny because DJs used to hate being talked to when we're like
Do you get
DJing. It's like, don't
requests?
bother me. uh, every once in a while, not really anymore.
Because
I used to in the beginning.
it's not a thing. They just let you rock.
And exactly, like, if anything, it'll be more so like, keep it on this vibe. Like, I like it right here, and especially if I'm
Yes,
like, yo, we're gonna
yes.
flip. Like, people are like, yo, just a couple more tracks, excuse me, and then, then I'm like, all right, cool, let's keep it like right here then. But as far as like, could you play this artist or this artist? Like, it was kind of in the beginning, but not so much anymore now. And it's funny, like, if people like are making requests, I mean, not necessarily my mods, even people who are just like in the chat, like they're just like, yo, you want to go listen to that, turn your Spotify on. You want to
Mm.
go like hear some different things. And like, people, you'll learn that you'll have more loyalty than you've ever had in your life. Like, as far as like authentic people who are not only following you, they're encouraging and supporting you. Yeah, financially, subs or, bits and all that, but more so just the way that they're committed to being there for you. Like, that's something that, like, it literally, like, I'll step back and I'll think about that. It's like, wow, that's just so humbling and gratifying. And I'm just so thankful. That's why I tell everybody, like, on the chat when I'm there, I'm like, damn, like, I'm not gonna front. I'm an emotional guy. And I'm just like, the fact that your loyalty is always here, like, it really means a lot to me. Like,
Mm.
people are like,
Because
like, from what do
you get that person to person thing, and in the club you really didn't get that.
you just see people like going there, or like, you'll every once in a while have that person that's like, oh, what are you drinking? Let me get you a drink. You're
Yeah.
killing what? I'm like, oh, that's
I got
dope.
$20 thrown at me like a hoe. Like, we like,
Yeah, like,
yeah, bro, you play
I'm not.
Gangstar. You play Gangstar. Here's the 20
Oh
bucks.
man. When that happens, like, it is so funny because you
I'm
grab
like,
it, it's like a crackhead like money. It's like, yo, like, what is this, how you hold your money? Just shove it and throw it in your pocket. But like, I mean, when seeing like people from like Honolulu, I'm like, you're 3 hours behind me. This is 6 a.m. and you're up. And they're just like, I'm like, do you have a job? I like, just kind of asking them. They're on the chat and they're like, no, we just, enjoy your music. And I'm like, fuck. Like, that to me is like, there's no way in hell I'd wake up to 6 a.m. to like constantly listen to a DJ. And that dedication, it's like, wow. Because like,
and
I
you
mean, some of the
evolve from
dudes,
there. You evolve from there
Yeah,
because and you're a perfect example. Aren't you selling merch?
yeah, yeah.
And
We
that's the
got like
next
the
step.
vibe tremor, and exactly, and it's crazy like that. We sold out. That I'm just like, and people are like, "Yo, when's the next run? When's the next run?" And
Now
I'm
you
just
got to
like,
open a business making shirts.
it,
Oh, get your shirts now,
yeah.
right?
And it's
It,
so funny because I'm like that the dancing hot dog. We call him Walter,
yes.
and
Well,
we
I
went
try
on
to
a
remember
big,
his name. And thank you
yeah.
for mentioning it because I was like, what's his name? Val? I was like, is it Val?
No, no, like so it's Walter the Wiener. So like I mean that whole like we didn't even try to plan anything like we're gonna set up this little guy like as or a mascot or someone that you're gonna come see or you're gonna see him constantly. It's like and it just took off. So people are always like about that, and it's funny because we just like I always have that mind in the gutter, like innuendo shit. Like I've always been that type of dude where it's like I read between the lines and just make a funny pun
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that. And I try to scale it down because sometimes like, I hear like my family's like I'll see them in the chat and I'm like, I know my like little ones like listening to this or the same thing like some of them like the people who are tuned in they were like we have you on like our TV and our daughter's dancing to you and I'm like try to tone it down. I'm like as much as I can, but that Walter gets the best of you, and I'll just kind of use that. I was like, man, but things like that where I'm just like, you'll kind of like create something out of nothing, and that to me I was just
Best
like,
feeling.
it's
The best
so
feeling. The best feeling.
yeah. So I mean, there's just so many things that came from this whole community thing.
It's like this. They say the pandemic is a tragedy, but a blessing in disguise for others. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
self discovery was massive in the pandemic. You really had to really know who you are. Like you really kind of like what your day-to-day job, if that defined you, that's out the window. If you really like, learning it, and it's funny, like your girlfriends, your spouses, your kids, like, and especially to the parents, like, you know,
pandemic baby coming on the way. You know what I
see
mean?
exactly. Like I mean, like, dude,
I created a
that's
whole
awesome.
family. You
Yeah,
know?
I see that, but that's awesome though, because now, like, I mean, talking to a really good friend of mine too, like, Eddie Boy, he definitely was
Shout out
just
to Eddie
like,
Boy.
yeah, dude, that's my dude. We actually, what do you call it? Well, first of all, he's putting me on like his globalization next week. I'm gonna have like
That's
his like,
dope, man. That's dope.
yeah,
Congratulations. Congratulations.
thank you. And then, what do you call it? But me and him just taught like, really chopping it up, and he's telling me like first of all, like getting in tune with Twitch and all that, he was like, I didn't even know that you had this. Like, because we're always in the club, so we can't expose like these ill remixes or just different styles or even skill. And, from there, it kind of just kept growing. But he was like, when we were talking on some friendship, like he was just like, me and his, like, him and his wife, Lucinda, he was like, we've never been tighter. Like, this has been like the opportunity to really bond because it's like his wife's a teacher, he's out at night. So it's like you have conflicting schedules. And, like, unfortunately, like with me, like, I had to find out a lot, like, about myself. And a lot of it was gain, but some of it was minus, where I'm just like, I need to get rid of some of these things in my life. And, the pandemic exposed that because you're isolated no matter what with yourself, sometimes with a spouse in your house, but regardless, you were forced to be in your damn house. Like there wasn't, I mean, even
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
could get out, it's like nothing's open to do. So you really had to look out, like, or I'm sorry, look in and really think about like, what you're gonna do and how you're gonna whatever, like survive, DJ, whatever it may be, and
You know what's
and
crazy?
finding that way.
I had all this free time and
Mhm.
I'm still organizing music.
Dude,
That
that's a
shit is
never
crazy to
ending
me.
process,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm
That's a
like,
never ending
I'm very
process.
annoyed by it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I put hours in, bro. I was like, damn. And you know what? Like you said, you do find yourself. I've learned to stop hoarding music. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I learned to do
But
that.
okay, so this is the thing too. It's like I'm not gonna lie. I used to be a big hoarder, and I still kind of do, but I trimmed it down with like all the remixes. I used to have like 7 or 8 different remixes of
Of the
like
same one.
yeah, or like say like of Usher's OMG. It's like, bro, you don't need that many remixes of
And
that
you play
song
what, one or
anymore.
two of them, maybe?
Exactly. So things like that. But hoarding music kind of was a blessing in disguise, because then, like, during
Because
this
of
whole
the Twitch.
pandemic, you rediscovered, man, I haven't heard this track in a while, or haven't played this, or haven't done that. And like, and it really kind of like made you dig deep into that library, because obviously as DJs you want to be separated. You have to do something different, and that doesn't necessarily mean playing a totally off the wall remix. It just may be like bringing back some, like, this Lloyd track that you haven't heard in forever, and you're just like, yo, I haven't heard that song in a cool minute. And it, like, I think with me, with music, it always gives me a place of where I was in that time. Like, what was I doing in 2000, what, 17? And I'm just like, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah,
Like, a lot
right.
of mistakes. I had like a lot of like bad mistakes right there. But like, things like that will make you laugh, and it'll make you remember, like, what you were doing. So that's something with me. I'm like, yeah, I'll play, like, new stuff, and especially that, clubs are gonna start reopening, and already getting hit up for that. It's like, you can't just stick to,
Fantastic.
yeah, so it's like having both. So that's why I'm just like, Twitch and how I DJ here isn't gonna change, but transfer it to the club. I'll tell people that, and especially like, like, I'll have people from, when you come in to back to Florida, or I've never seen you when you were in Florida or Chicago, or different relations and people who follow me now. I tell them, I'm like, I'm the same guy. It's just going to be a different look because it's a club, and they're trying to go back to how it was. And now it's like, I always, pick up a conversation with the promoter or club owner that I'm working with, and be like, what's your vibe that you're trying to go for? And if they tell me, they were like, we like what you're doing on the show, do that. All right,
You get
dope.
that
It's a
though?
win-win.
Do you get
Yeah.
that actually owners and promoters know what you're doing on Twitch?
Now I do. A couple of them
I
are
said it.
definitely
I
like
said it.
that.
I was like,
Yeah.
that. I've always said that they're gonna. Did it change the way the music is being played now in the club?
And it's funny because like some of the, or especially one of my old bar, was the bar that I was telling you that I used to help manage and book. So they moved outside, and it, like, there, I've always said this, but the thing is that unfortunately, like, two or like shops had to close because of the pandemic. So now they have this, literally this huge alleyway that's blocked side to side by brick walls, and it's the outside, like, basically it's just to a parking lot, so the sound could bang without any, like, complications. So he was like, how can we transfer a day party onto Twitch from here, and just showing, like, and I'm just like, how crazy is that?
It
Like,
is
because
crazy.
people are going to want to see
You guys
that.
are so
and
far
he
ahead in the game
and,
over
and
there.
he's
I'm
already thinking
upset.
about that. He was like, how can we step that level up? Like, people are going to want to see you, obviously, DJing and stuff like that, and it's not going to be the same, like, as far as like on the chat. And he was like, but maybe it can be, maybe we can be talking and being like, yo, he's like, we'll set up monitors out here and have, like, things going, so if people want to write something to you, like, while you're DJing, you can read it. And I'm just like, wow. Like, I mean, to me, I'm like, that's already innovative thinking, like pushing it, like trying to bridge the gap. And I'm like, it can work, it may not work, but the fact that, he's willing to try that, that's crazy. So anyway, so yeah, like, I mean, there's already different plans and things that are
That's
going
dope that
out. And
they
I'm just like,
realize that.
yeah.
It's dope that they realize that they see what you're doing and they want that vibe. And I told them, I was like, yo, if you like to, 'cause if you like to play a certain kind of genre, then do it on
Mm,
Twitch and then let them see that it's okay. You know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah,
Everything,
exactly.
everything, everybody runs things through numbers, and the numbers are there visually on Twitch. You know, look
Yeah.
at the chat, look at the interaction, look how
Mhm.
many people love this guy. He has 700 people on, 1,000 people on. Angie V is probably the biggest influence for everybody. She's doing what 1,200
Yeah, and
plus
Angie
streams.
came from like IG, but like, I mean, Angie, like, I mean, she already, I think she was a single person that I saw that was able to make like a seamless transition from Instagram to Twitch, because she has such a great fan base. And not taking away from Angie, because like Angie's like been doing this for years, and she's a great homie. Like, I like love her energy. She's just a really good person. She's put me onto like her "You're Not Down" parties that were in Pomona,
Mhm.
and she's just a great soul. But I was like, if you're trying to mimic that, I'm like, it's gonna be very, very hard. And it took her a little while too, because a
Her
lot of
energy is different
her,
though. Her energy is different from her dancing
Mhm.
behind the booth and enjoying the music. You do the same thing, and that's why I said it travels. That energy
Yeah,
travels. So if I see you rocking out to this song, I'm like, you know what? That is a dope song, and I haven't heard this song
yeah,
in a long time.
it'll make you kind of like, think twice, because like there's some tracks, like I said, it's like, I vibe with it, and then there's other tracks that I'm like, yo, just give it a second, and then you'll really, I get lost in it, and that's one thing where I'm like, oh, sorry if I if I missed your comment or whatever, but I'm like, I just get lost in this shit, and like,
That's great,
that's
man.
authentic to me.
That's great. That's great. I congratulate you for all your endeavors and what you're doing right now, and I
Oh,
mean
I appreciate
anybody
that, man.
that's doing great. Because like again, as a DJ, I am a DJ, but I'm also a fan.
Hmm.
First, I always say I'm a fan first.
Oh
You know
man,
what I mean?
yeah.
And and I've been doing this for about 15 years too. So it's like, what I mean, and I got and a lot of my influences come from the West Coast. That's what my lady says. You should just move to the West Coast. That's what that's what you like. You'll probably blend in right
Bro,
away.
yeah, you
You know
got
what
plugs over here already, man. And see, that
I
was another thing. That's another thing that like happened too, is like, finding, new networks or DJs that you didn't think that you can like, really like be in touch with. And then all of a sudden, like, they're hitting you up and they were like, yo, so when are you gonna do this? When are we gonna do this? When are we gonna do this? And it's just like,
That's what I said.
what?
That's my DJ.
Like,
That's my DJ. Whoever it is, because I'm gonna tell you something. I was here when AM came to New York City
oh
to DJ
wow.
for New Year's Eve,
Oof. Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna tell you, bro, it was hard for him.
Really?
It was hard for him. It was a hard night for
Yeah.
him because DJ AM couldn't be DJ AM there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, see, like, I mean, but that really shows, like,
You know what I mean? So
it,
over here, we're just fast money. Like I said, we're fast money here. Everything is fast. They just see what they see and how they can see it, and I feel that we're behind the game because everywhere else, it's not just the West Coast. Florida. All these other places, they're doing things
mhm,
differently. They don't worry
mhm,
about everybody being a rock star or anybody being a radio guy. You know what I mean? I,
mhm.
Most of the times, like you yourself, I don't see you rocking crazy chains and playing up front. You know what I mean? Over
Yeah, man.
here, it is what it is, and I'm not knocking my city, man. I love my city, but
Yeah,
we need to do
it's just
better.
a yeah, no, it's just a, like how you said, it's just lifestyle when it comes down to that, and it's just like, but it's I always feel
But you
like
need to come to New
you.
York when it comes. You need to come to New York when
Oh
we
yeah,
open up
man, definitely. That was one of the places that I wanted to be at
and
so
go to a
bad, because like
party out here. I'll bring you out here,
the
bro.
oh man,
To
for
the
sure,
local
we're
spots are
definitely
the best
doing that.
spots. The local
And see
spots are the
that
best spots.
I mean, I do the tourist thing every once in a while, but I always ask my DJs wherever I go, I'm like, what's like, first of all, a spot that you love to eat at, because I'm a
Yeah, yeah.
huge foodie. And then second, I was like, where are the parties that you enjoy? Like, I mean, with me, it's like, it's dope always going to like, those like bigger clubs or whatever. But, I just always love to be
Yo, there was
around
a
like
spot out
authentic.
here that it wasn't even Halloween, and the dude was walking around in the Beetlejuice outfit with a Beetlejuice mask, and he was humping women. Like
Oh
he was
my
dancing and
God.
humping, and you see Beetlejuice dancing with these random women. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It's
No,
hilarious out
man,
here,
like,
man. But you need to come
yeah,
down here, hit me up. I'll take you to these local spots, and
oh,
you
definitely,
see the
man. I
vibe
shot you
out
my
here.
number, so we're good. But no, man, like I really, just I don't know if we're wrapping it up or whatever, but like real talk, I think just now is like the time for, and especially, I don't care if you have a MIDI, because you can look at all these bigger DJs right now too, and a lot of them are rocking like MIDI controllers. Like I'm a
Is that
purist.
important
Like
to you?
it really was. I'm not gonna front. I'm like, if you can't flip a record, don't talk to me. Like, because I remember, like, I was still like in the stages of like the Rain 57, and there wasn't two USBs. And if you had to, switch the dial, find the groove on the record, cut it, and then switch your laptops, that's what you had to do. And to me, I'm like, if you couldn't do that, like, don't talk to me really. But
That's one
then,
thing we had on you guys out here, though, the mic game
yeah. See,
and
and that's one thing that,
switching up. That was the one
see,
thing.
Yeah, so like I mean, over in New York, you didn't have to really worry about that. Over here, like in LA, you had to worry about that because if the music dropped, that club owner or promoter, and especially actually the owner, all over you. Why is the music stopped? And like people don't want to hear people on the mic like that over here. Like it's just not. I mean, yes and no though. Like it just depends where you're at. Like if in Hollywood, no, but at certain spots, like there's a spot called Penthouse, and Penthouse like it's all just trap and it's all like getting pumped and it's the super flex. Like when I DJed that, like
Like
I knew what I was
EDM
getting
trap or
into.
like ratchet trap?
Mm-mm. I'm talking about like like okay. The very first time I went to Dallas, I didn't know how big Dolph was over there because over here
Yeah,
in the
he's
West
huge over
Coast,
there.
nobody really fucks with Dolph over here. It's like I play like a couple of tracks and they're like, "Why are you playing that?" And over there, it's like boom, massive. It's just like huge. That down south trap is just on a different cut. So they're speaking about that. They were just on that level. So it's like okay, we had to be right there. Like the people, like I think it was around January when I was or DJing there, and it was in West Hollywood, and just a whole bunch of like NFL players were there just tossing money, and they were from Dallas actually too. So it's like they expect that music. They want it. I mean, like for us, like this, like that stripper shit, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's that money flex, throw it up, like bring that Dom P out, that whole flex. So I mean, learning that's one thing that I had to really adapt in city to city. Like it it was like how you're saying, like AM, like if you're not connected with good people like DJs who aren't going to set you up for failure, you're going to sink and
Mm.
fast. Like if I were to go to New York not knowing anything, I probably like unless it was just like, yo, we have this party that's designed for
And I
you.
went for AM.
Okay, cool.
And I
Yeah.
went for AM because I knew what he does. And I was like, yo, I
Hmm.
can't wait to see him live.
Hmm.
And the thing is that it didn't transcend the way it was supposed to because people
Hmm.
didn't understand what he did or what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
He was
mashup,
that king
mashup
of the
was
cross genre, dude.
mashup was just, especially here in New York, was new. Not everybody was doing the mashups. They didn't understand
Hmm.
the rock music situation and what he was doing with it and how
Yeah.
important it was as a DJ and what he was doing.
Hmm.
It opened up lanes to your crates and like, yo, you could play this. It's okay, but you just and it started that in New York because there was one point in New York where you go into a club in Manhattan
Hmm.
and you hearing Bon Jovi, right?
Hmm.
And he shuts the music off for the for the whole chorus,
Oh man,
and the
that's
crowd is
crazy.
singing Bon Jovi for a whole hook.
But I mean, that's to me, like, that's one thing that I've always loved about sometimes, like, I mean, not to my own horn, like, whatever. Okay, say, um, I was in Albuquerque and I was playing Jane, huge track at the time. And what I curated and made it personally was this edit to "We Will Rock You." And right now, or at that time, that's when that Bohemian Rhapsody movie was coming out. So Queen was already like in people's
Yeah, you
radios
gotta
again.
know when to start
So
doing it.
so playing that boom boom clap, boom boom clap, and then I hear Rob with the mob, and then just like people were like, "Whoa!" Like I mean, just heads like exploded. We're like,
That's
it
genius.
goes so well, and then the edit that I made just go "We Will Rock You," and then it'll come back. So the biggest thing in saying that is, and they can even relate to Twitch, whether they loved it or hate it, they're gonna remember that you did it. Whether they see something visually that they liked, like really liked, and they're like, man, I love that. Or they're like, yo, it was just blah blah blah, but they'll remember the DJ who did it. And you do the same thing with music. And it's really a lost form right now because numbers, promoters, what things are going on. You have a lot to, have in jeopardy, like of you losing. But if you're at the right place at the right time, that high reward is just, it'll
Are
make
you
you.
are you in the mercy of the club owners and promoters now due to the pandemic? As far as pay is concerned, is it more of a
To
take?
be Yeah, no, to be quite honest, I'm not like at all because of what has Twitch has done for me.
Oh yeah,
Like
of
I
course,
mean, like that it's something where I'm like, no, I mean, just in not only Twitch, like my emails run up with people asking for graphics, people asking for logo, like stingers,
fantastic, yo. Of
overlays,
course,
all these things, and it really plugged me in with really good people like Franzen, E-Rock, you know, Justin Credible. I mean, all of them. I mean, Justin Credible has been a friend for mine for a while, but even old friends that like I haven't connected with a long time. We were talking about the heavy hitters and like Felly. Like when I first started, like Felly Fell was really like he was the one that kind of took me under his wing and really kind of showed me how a club works. And he, because he liked my style at the time, electro was electro and barely coming up. So that's when Day and Night was really kind of coming up.
Yeah,
That
yeah. Those were
Hands Up for
fantastic
Detroit,
years.
bro. Like those were to me. I'm like those are my golden years of like the club because
Yeah.
going to AM's club at LAX or Steve Aoki's at Dimac Tuesdays, bro, it was just on some next level like artists that are huge now. Like I saw Cuddy like 4 times. He was always up in AM's club or Aoki's. Seeing like you know, MIA, right, like all these like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, artists, they would just go there and just they get so pumped that they're just like, I want to perform. Like you know, whatever Steve played my track, like AM play it and I'll perform it live. Like it wasn't even like, oh, you know, I have money to appear here and now I have money to like, you know, actually do my song. It's like, no, like they were just there for the party. So, you know, going back, like I was like playing all these like Afrojack remixes, all like who else? Like, I mean, Ghetto was like, you know, really kind of coming up and
Those days were crazy. That's when the remix game was went
it
out of
was on
hand
a
after
different
that.
level. Yeah,
It,
man. The mashup and the remixes on there. But
the
those are some
electro
of the
days were
best
great.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like I really like
Afrojack had a
just
good
love
run.
that.
Afrojack had a
Yeah,
good run
man.
doing the remixes. Um, I
There,
think
there's a like
start to
I'm trying to
begin
think like
where
to me that's where I first heard Diplo. Like when I heard Diplo do the "What's Up Rye remix,
yes,
and then
yes.
like because I remember AM playing that, and I'm like, yo, this thing's heavy. And then I really started listening and following Diplo, and I'm like, that dude's probably, if not like one of the most biggest influential like you know producers. I don't know who is because he literally everybody like
And he
he
does the
has everybody
simplest
in.
shit. He does the simplest shit to influence people. You know what I mean? Like the other day, I remember I was on this thing and he was in his Tesla making beats.
Dude, like the thing is that he's so musically inclined to the world. Like
Yeah,
it's not that he, like how you said it, it's not that he pushes the envelope or does some crazy sound design like how Skrillex did. It was more so like, let me show you what's happening in Jamaica and this sound and this
mm.
vibe, and let me kind of translate it to what everybody knows.
I've been to his
And
Mad
I'm
Decent
just,
parties too. They were crazy.
oh, dude, I went to like the one in like, well, I've been to a few of them in Vegas, but I remember there was just specifically one. I was like, they had to drag me out of the pool, bro. Like, and see, that's the thing with me. I'm like, I drink and I have, you know, I smoke and like have that, but I always know like where I'm at, blah blah blah. But if a good DJ, that's the mark to me of a good DJ. If I'm at a party, I want to keep drinking, and like
Drunk.
he was just boom, like ripping track after track after track. And I'm just like, yo, let's just keep running it. And then they were
Imagine
like,
that here. Imagine you being here and they cutting
oh
records the
my
way they do.
God.
You'll
Wow.
be on the sofa
Oh my.
over here. If you're on the sofa, you start forgetting what they're doing. They're just playing, slamming records so good, bro. It's such a
Yeah.
great thing. Also, you know, I love my
Yeah,
city for
no,
that.
man.
But
So like you know, going back to like, you know, the whole thing too, because actually I gotta like get going. But no, man, like I really loved all of the whole vibe that the pandemic did bring. There was a lot of sad and you know, like I
I'm glad it
lost.
was a lot of positivity for you. I'm glad
I
it did
mean,
positive things for you.
it was hand in hand, man. There was a lot of things I had to let go, and there was things that I didn't want to let go. Like, I mean, like friends, like you know, some of them caught it really bad and just passed. And you know, like you
I
know,
got it,
of,
and I was fortunate to
yeah, me
bust it
too.
out.
Like, I mean, honestly, like
I didn't get
with
it
me,
bad.
yeah, like with me, and I feel this way about, and obviously not a doctor or anything, but I felt like you know it was more of the people who already had underlying symptoms or weren't in good health, kind of to begin with. Like it kind of attacked them the worst
It kind of woke
because
me up.
they,
I'm like, damn, I'm a little bit
yeah,
more healthier than I thought. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
eat
no,
everything.
man,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. So I mean, you know, like for us, like you know, fortunately, we were able to like bounce back in a couple of weeks. But dude, it was a journey back, man. It wasn't like, oh, like you know, when you get over the flu, a couple of days, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm cool again. It took me about a month to like
Yeah,
regain
same here.
stamina and my full like, strength, and then to build even back. Like it was really like a difficult time, but through this there was a big, blessing, which was honestly Twitch. And then I don't think I've ever seen DJs celebrate DJs so much in my life.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're all fighting for that, main stage spot that, you're headlining, or even just to get in the club. Like you always had to fight for your position, and then this happened,
Now
and
you
we're
headlining all the
just
time.
like, yeah. But I think, more than that, it's like we band together and we just started putting on other people, not out of anything more than just love and appreciation, man.
Yeah,
So
because
like, I
now
mean, you,
craze. You would say craze is if craze is checking you out is not it's because craze just likes to watch you, and
yeah.
that, and,
And
and that's the perfect thing about it. They're not
yeah,
there
man.
for anything else. They just like to watch you.
And that's it's kind of like nerve-wracking, but at the same time it's like, I mean, I have to tune it out, because I'm just like, they're here for a reason, and that
But you've
reason
been
is
doing
for
it
me
for
to
so
just
long,
vibe.
so it's like just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, why would you get
Yeah.
nervous? You know what I mean? Just keep
I
doing what you
mean,
do.
yeah, but I just try not to think about it, because when I do, it's like, I'm the same, bro. Like I'm fans of massive DJs and friends. Like I always tell people, I'm like, bro, like you kind of just took me back, and I'm like, man, you made me feel like I'm watching, like, someone that I would just look up to regardless if I knew you or not. But yeah, dude, like I really, just am enjoying this, and excited to see how, like, what's gonna come next. Like I said, like, yo, dude, like there's probably gonna be
But
those
but
parties that,
I now I think about that. What is next? You know what I mean? What is
those
next? I don't
hybrid
think you're
parties. Like,
gonna involve the hybrid, right? What one of my
mm-hmm,
ideas was, yo, the DJ doesn't even have to be there no more. You know what I mean? You could just put up a screen and you could just rock out from your room with a green screen on, and the club saves on money on lighting, and
mm-hmm.
they save on what you even being there. You don't even have to be there.
And honestly, I've already done a couple of those, because they were just like trial and kind of error, and they liked it. But it's weird because like the chat is kind of running up, and I would let them know in my description, like, I'm not talking today because, I'm streaming live directly using, or they're using mine, as opposed to, like, then they created their
They're
channel.
not worried about the chat being distracting
Yeah,
to the
and that was
crowd.
the initial problem, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're gonna try, I think, to resolve it by getting them involved, getting your crowd
Mm.
involved. So it's like
I would
that's
put
why
like
it's
a
like,
computer there and be like, "Yo, say what you want to say."
or like, I mean, when you have all the monitors up, they'll have the chat right next to it, and it's like, you have your phone right there. You know,
Oh yeah, you're right.
say
Oh,
what's up, say what's up, like, blah 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 blah, and we can shout them out, like, yo, blah blah blah. And if you're doing it not on your channel and on theirs, obviously, like, hopefully you're getting paid for it, but like you're promoting theirs. So it's like, we see you like at table, like whatever, blah blah blah. What's up? Like, you're popping that bottle of Ciroc. How you feeling? Like, take a shot. Like, just things like that, where it's like, I'm talking to just different people, and it's like, it it can work theoretically. It'll be an adjustment, but it's like we should all be
have a
used to
view
that
of the
shit
crowd.
now.
Do you have a view of the crowd when you're doing that, or is just you DJing blindsided, just doing what you do every day on Twitch? Only difference is that you're somewhere streaming.
Right, like that time that I did do that, I didn't have like a crowd at all, or like a view of how it looks, and that's what I was like. I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, how dope would that be to see a feed of like what's going on? But what I did have was my friend that manages the place. I'm like, yo, text me, let me know how the crowd is vibing. Let me know if I need to change it up. Let me know, like, if somebody's celebrating a birthday, whatever. And he was like on it, like every, like, you know 10 or 15 minutes, he was telling me, he was like, blah 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 is having a birthday right now, shout him out. I'm like, all right, dope. Like, just change up this the music genre, get it a little bit more lively. Okay, no, like, because it was still, I think this was in the first like reopening in California,
Mm-hmm.
so this was like about a, almost a year. So there was a lot of, adjustments, so we didn't even have the time to really fill it out yet. But now coming back, it's like we've already kind of seen what can work, what won't work, and it's like it's all going to be trial and error. But if you're trying to do the hybrid, that could open, your social way up and open like
Yes.
I'm only in, Southern California, but now since people who follow me are from Florida, from New York, from Chicago, when they fly over here, they're gonna go to that spot. So it's things like that where it's like they look at the full marketing thing and it's like, damn, yeah, like
Yeah.
on the spectrum, you can really make your spot a landmark and what you're doing. So it's all the way you're attacking it and the angles that you're seeing it, and it's crazy, man. Like, because this isn't just local anymore. It's like no matter what level you're at, you can be exposed to people in New Zealand and have people from Japan, and it's funny because they're writing in like Japanese, and I'm just like a few times,
I've
and
seen
then
that.
they
I've
switch
seen
up the
that.
translation, like one of them's like Red Panda, and I'm like, to me, I'm like, that's just so dope, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
it
so
is.
crazy. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but I appreciate you. But yeah,
Man,
man.
man, I want to thank you for your time. You know,
Oh, definitely, dude.
this was a great conversation. It opened a lot of eyes. I hope it encourages people to break that ice. You
Yeah.
can do this because you did it. Everybody else is doing it, and you guys are
Hmm.
successful doing it. And just thank you for your time, and I appreciate you. I'll
Oh
keep in
man,
touch with you.
definitely.
We're gonna definitely see what's up. Maybe we go to Cali one of these days and rock
Yeah,
out.
bro. You got to come out here and just catch that Cali vibe, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's on
Fuse
some
told me
totally
too.
different. And
Fuse
I
tells me
got
all the
you.
time. Fuse tells me, "Yo, you need to come out here."
Oh
So
yeah, man. I see that, and that's another one where we can open that whole like kind of worms. Like me and him chop it up all the time, and he's just like, my place is kind of boring looking, and blah blah blah. I was like, you're an ill DJ. Your cuts are crazy. You come up with these ideas that are like,
out of this world.
very unique. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, screw that. Like people are gonna want to see
He's
you,
gradually
and
transitioning
and
into
he
the
is.
whole thing because he
And it
took a
was funny
while to
because
do it.
yeah, because like I mean, real quick, like I was telling him, I was like, bro, I see your Peloton back there. Was the last time you jumped on? And then like he was kind of laughing, but then he hits me in my whisper. He was like, I wasn't even thinking about that concrete. That's embarrassing. But I was like, I wasn't trying to expose you or anything like that. If anything, I'm just more like, because we have one here. I'm just like, man, I need to get on my get on mine. And that it really, like, without calling him out, it called him out. It's being like, my angle's bad. You don't want to see like, my dirty bathroom or, something
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on back
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And then he switched up his angle. So things
It's
like that,
important.
where it's like, yeah. So, having that, and being open to having that, not criticism, but more so critique. Like I always love the feedback. And, the fact that you're saying like, you're in there just vibing, like that is more than enough encouragement to keep on the road that I'm going.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm watching everybody. Shout out to Marty Rock too. He's a New York DJ, and
Oh
he's
well,
actually and he's killing it on Twitch himself. Um, but let people know where they could see you, where they could find you
yeah.
on Instagram. All your important information for you to be out there and let the people know who you are.
Right now it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. PST, and I go by concrete with the number three, so that's CONCR3TE. And on Twitch, there's an underscore at that. But hopefully by the end of the month, I got in contact with the person who has it. So like hopefully it'll just be concrete. That's how
Oh,
my
you trying to figure
Instagram
it
is.
out?
Yeah, man. Because like when I was like, who has this name? Like it's usually not hard for me to just get that name. I mean, concrete would be really hard, but with the three in it, it's a lot easier. So I finally got in contact with the person. So hopefully just work it out, and then it
That's
could be
dope.
just uniform all the way through. But yeah, Instagram as well. Concrete with the three.
Again, thank you for joining me on my Orange Crates podcast. It was a great
Yeah, man.
conversation. I hope people get a lot out of this, like I did. You know what I mean? Like I said, all you DJ fans, all you fans at all, follow him, watch him, and be a great DJ. That's all we telling you to do.
Yeah, man. Just be yourself. And honestly, like as cheesy as it sounds, just do what you love and play like you love it.
Yeah, man, definitely. Yo, I'm gonna keep in touch with you. Thank you for your time
Definitely,
once
bro.
again. Be safe. One love, brother.
All right, bro. Take it easy, man.
Latest.
I'm out.